same energy. Work on being better when I'm 70. Your drip is just a water spring. You know I drip different, just the 7 seas. I deal with life different, make that lemon squeeze. We're known for my style and identity. Better bounce back and get the cheddar cheese. I guess that's why they envy me. On track, now we going way up. W's as easy as a layup. Working late, stay up, stay up. Counting all the way.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the homegoing service for TikTok, or maybe not the homegoing service anymore, because as you know, they've come back, but we still gonna do this anyways. We still gonna eulogize them here tonight, and that's what we are talking about, how TikTok may have been revived, but these platforms, y'all just don't know, they don't really care about us at all. And so that's why I want to start tonight before we get into anything with this right here. And we'll be right back.
Skinhead, deadhead, everybody gone bad. Situation, aggravation, everybody allegation. In the suit, on the news, everybody dog food. Bang, bang, shock dead, everybody's gone bad. All I wanna say is that they don't really care about us. All I wanna say is that they don't really care about us. Beat me, hate me, you can never break me. Will me, thrill me, you can never kill me. Chew me, sue me, everybody do me. Kick me, kike me, don't you black or white me. All I wanna say is that they don't really care about us. All I wanna say is that they don't really care about us. Tell me what has become of my life. I have a wife and 2 children who love me. I am the victim of police brutality, no. I'm tired of being the victim of hate. You're ripping me of my pride, for God's sake. Trepidation, speculation, everybody allegation. In the suit, on the new, everybody dog food. Black man, blackmail, throw the brother in jail. All I wanna say is that they don't really care about us. Tell me what has become of my rights. Am I invisible cause you know me? Your proclamation promised me free liberty, no. I'm tired of being the victim of shame. You're throwing me in a class with a bad name. I can't believe this is the land from which I came. You know I really do hate to see it. The government don't wanna see. But if Roosevelt was living, he wouldn't let this be, no.
All right, and that right there was Michael Jackson. And that particular version of Michael's song, They Don't Really Care About Us, was filmed in jail. And that was the one Sony Pictures actually didn't want to be seen. We're going to talk about that here in just a second. But I wanted to play that at the intro and at the onset of that to let you all know that as Love Warrior just dropped right here in the comments, yes, Michael Jackson was ahead of his time in the lyrics. And when that was produced back in the late 80s, early 90s, Mike knew and was speaking in what was going to happen in a precursor. Do me a favor, everybody, and drop in the comments where you're tuning in from. I want to interact with you all tonight and just have a conversation because we put way too much of our time and energy into these platforms, and yet we don't own them. So let me bring it back home really quickly here. And let's begin with this here on tonight. TikTok may have been revived, but these platforms, they don't really care about us in any ways. And with saying that, I want you to all to know is that it's not the time to be breathing easy right now. It really isn't, because tomorrow, if you don't realize already, 45 is going to become 47 yet again. And he's told us and forecasted what he's going to do on day 1 and day 2 alone. And if we don't believe him, I don't know what to tell you. And Michael Jackson's lyrics, As I just told y'all, they still ring true today. They don't really care about us. And it's time that we face the truth. It's not only time that we face the truth when we talk about and look at this when it comes to politics, but we also have to look at it when the context and in the case of these platforms like TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, Threads, YouTube, and I could go on because all they are all doing is building themselves just to profit off of us and to profit off of your creativity and not to protect it at all. You see, they are not built to serve you. Who they're really truly built is to serve themselves. Because if you look at who's supposed to be at the inauguration tomorrow, you have Jeff Bezos. You have not only Jeff Bezos, but you have Mark Zuckerberg. And you not only have Jeff Bezos and Mark Zuckerberg, but you also have Elon Musk, who is going to be the three of the wealthiest men in the world. But the key about those three individuals is they run the biggest companies in the world. Mark with Meta, and Meta owns, just so y'all know, because some of y'all got a little bit confused, that TikTok's parent company ByteDance also owned CapCut. They also own Lemonade. And some of y'all had seemed to have forgot that or just didn't know in a sense. So let me help y'all out. Meta owns not just Facebook and Instagram, but Meta owns Messenger. Meta owns WhatsApp. Meta owns Threads. Meta owns also a lot of other intellectual properties. Now, and then there's Elon, who owns X and Tesla and SpaceX and all these other companies. And then there is Jeff Bezos. And while Jeff Bezos no longer owns Amazon, he still has shares in Amazon, and he's still considered one of the founders of Amazon. So now let's take a full picture and look at this from bird's eye view. Now, what did I just tell y'all? Three of the richest men are going to be at this event, at this inauguration on tomorrow, and they are not here to serve you. None of their platforms are, not even them as individuals. These platforms are just built to serve themselves. Here, let's check this out because this is a homegoing service, right? So we're gonna go to the Bible real quick. In Jeremiah 17, chapter 5, it says, "This is what the Lord says: Cursed is the one who trusts is man, who draws strength from me, flesh, and whose hurt turns away from the Lord." So here, let me break this down and put it into a context that everybody could understand all of this. You see, when it comes to trusting these platforms, it's like leaning on a broken staff. And the moment you need to hold yourself up and the moment you need to lean on you, all these platforms do, as we saw last night, is they collapse under the weight of their own priority. You see, that's why Dr. Martin Luther King, and I think we all forget, and we all need to take a step back and realize and recognize that tomorrow is not only the inauguration day, but tomorrow's also Dr. Martin Luther King Day. Yes, his birthday that we just celebrated was on January 15th, but the national holiday is on January 20th every year, and it's also a federal holiday. So we need to remember what Dr. King was talking about on April 3rd, 1968, just hours before he was assassinated. And his I've been to a mountaintop speech. A lot of us only want to quote and only want to realize the last 3 minutes and 46 seconds or so of that speech. I've been to the mountaintop speech, but we don't ever want to recognize the beginning part of it, the beginning 40 minutes of that, where it was a speech on economics. And in that speech, Dr. King laid out a plan. Dr. King said, not only are we stronger together, but he talked about how Black America has a buying power that is bigger than any of the world's largest economies. Black America's buying power is a $1.8 trillion buying power right now in 2025. And our buying power is the proof that we have the resources that we need to build our own ecosystems. But not only do we have the resources that we need to build our own ecosystems, we just need to stop giving them away to these platforms that don't prioritize us and start investing in platforms and tools and strategies that do serve our community and that do serve serve Black America. Here, put it this way. Right now, you can own a part of fan base, which is Black owned by Isaac Hayes III, the son of Isaac Hayes, who wrote who wrote a lot of songs, but probably one of the most infamous songs that you all may know of is Shaft. So here, let's take it a step further. Isaac Hayes has the third has a social media app that he created and developed and launched back in 2019, and it's called Fanbase. And on Fanbase, not only can you have all of these different social verticals and things like that, but on Fanbase, you can own stock in the company right now. You can own stock in the company. Yes, while you may be able to own stock in Meta, Meta isn't for us, by us. And you may be able to own stock in Meta because it's on the stock exchange. And at one time, you may have been able to own stock in what was Twitter, but now X. But now, since Elon has come back and he has brought it, he has now taken the company back private. So you don't own anything when it comes to X or Twitter. You don't own anything when it comes to Threads and Instagram and things like that. And that's what matters and what we need to be focused on, and what I want to center this whole thesis of this whole eulogy, and just drive home the point that we as creators and business owners can no longer afford to continue to depend on these platforms. You see, ownership isn't just a business strategy, it's a key to our freedom, it's a key to your legacy and your sustainability. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And I also forgot to mention that tomorrow, not only is it Dr. King Day, not only is it the inauguration day, but my beloved Buckeyes are playing tomorrow, and they are going to kick the Fighting Irishes behind them. I'm trying not to be so Devontae-ish and cuss, since this is a eulogy, but one or two may drop out here. So, can I push this further, everybody? Can I push this? Can we talk a little bit and keep it 100 about the truth about these platforms and why they don't really care about creators? Can we talk about that for a minute? Can we talk about all of these platforms and how they profit from your creativity, but yet they still control your access to your audience, and how they just dictate how and when you make money? How, for example, on most of the platforms, you only make money once a month, and how you make money is very different on Facebook and Instagram than it is on YouTube, than it is on TikTok. Yes, and so with that being said, let's take a look at what Scripture says about it. John 10:10. You know, the Bible says that the thief comes only to steal, kill, and destroy. And I have come that they may have life and have it to the fullest extent, is what the Bible says. And so while these platforms are like thieves, they come to steal your audiences, they come to kill your creativity, they come to destroy the independence you should have, and they give you just enough to keep you dependent. But the moment the winds change, the moment the barrels begin to blow, the moment the shift begins to happen, you know what they do is they leave you stranded right there on the side of the road, and they just don't give a damn. They don't. And we saw that happen not at midnight last night, but here in America, we saw it begin to happen at around 10 o'clock, where TikTok started to flash a message that, hey, look, we aren't going to get bailed out this time. And since we aren't going to get bailed out, boom, we're going to start the blocking earlier. And what did they do? They left us stranded. And we had no way, or some of us had no way, of owning that audience. In Columbus, Ohio, where I reside, there's this 80-year-old TikToker. Her grandson posts the TikTok videos for her. She has over 20+ million followers who follow her over on TikTok. And at an instance like that, because she was only on TikTok and only dependent upon TikTok, it was gone. I heard it was on Instagram, and I heard another content creator talking about how she had just got laid off a couple of weeks ago, and how she was dependent upon that Instagram, I'm sorry, not that Instagram, but that TikTok revenue to continue to come in, and that TikTok revenue basically just ceased to exist at that moment. And she was in tears. She didn't know what she was going to do. And why? Because this story can go on and on and on in multiple different references. And why is that? Because and when I say we, I'm not talking about myself. I'm talking about we as a collective. I'm talking about you individually don't own your platform. Come on now. You don't own not just your platform, but you don't own your audience. You don't own your community. You don't own your email list. Let me put it to you this way. You see, Prince. Oh, our boy Prince. We love Prince, don't we? You see, Prince didn't just sing about freedom. Prince, he lived it. You see, when he fought to own his masters, he wasn't just protecting his music, but he was protecting his legacy. And you know what Prince told us? You know what Prince told us, Esther? You know what he told us? He said, if you don't own your masters are going to own you. Here, let me put it to you this way, to all of my sports fans out there. Many of you may not know who Dolores Jordan is, but Dolores Jordan is Michael Jordan's mother. And you know what Mrs. Jordan did? Is Miss Jordan knew and recognized the power of ownership when she negotiated and when she was negotiating her son Michael Jordan's deal with Nike at the time. And you know what? She demanded equity. And because of that, the Jordan brand became what it is today. And it became a legacy and not just a contract. But I'll push that a step further. Not only did when Prince said, if you don't own your masters own you. And not only her pushing Mike's and cementing Mike's legacy. What I'll tell you this is that the two of them, and there's so many other stories. What they did is they made us recognize, or at least they made me recognize this one thing, is that our impact must outweigh our legacy. Yes, while we're trying to cement and build a legacy in the here and now, because your legacy is going to come much later. In the here and now, it's all about the impact, and the two of them, and just those stories alone, and I could share countless, made it all about the impact outweighing their legacy. So what are you saying, Devontae? What I'm saying is this: what I'm trying to say is, if you're building your future on platforms that don't really care about you, you're building on sand. And as the Bible tells us, a house built on sand will not stand. It just won't. It just won't. Matthew 7:24 through 27, which is tonight's overall text for this message, says, therefore, everyone who hears these words of mine and puts them into practice is like a wise man who built his house on the rock. The rain came down, the streams rose, and the winds blew and beat against that house. Yet it did not fall because it had its foundation on the rock. You see, TikTok is a house that was built on sand. You see, the moment the storms of political pressure or even just a whiff of the financial instability came, or once we found out who truly owned TikTok, which was the Chinese government. And I'm going to get into here in a little while why we should be even more worried about this ban being unbanned, and what y'all's new guy becoming president yet again. Why we should be scared, and he's saying America should own 50% of it. But that's beyond the point of what I'm trying to drive home right now, is when all that happens, it crumbles, you see. But one thing you have is you have the power to build on the rock of ownership. You got the power to build on the rock of ownership. You really, truly do. So when TikTok faced the ban of millions of creators, and when they did ban well over 70 plus million of creators, and when those creators lost their audience, in effect, here, let me put it to you like this. In effect, the world saw the greatest layoff of all times that they have ever saw. We Big Lots just did a big layoff, and they didn't do a massive layoff like this. Walmart, Saks Fifth Avenue, no company in the world has ever had this mass of a layoff. And so TikTok, in effect, laid everybody off in this massive layoff, and everybody lost their audiences overnight. So what I'm trying to say is, if you don't own your audience, hell, you don't own your feature. You just don't, because the power is in the power of the ownership, everybody. It's in the power of ownership. Proverbs 27:23 tells us, be sure you know the condition of your flocks and give careful attention to your herds. So let me put it to you like this practically. What that means is you need to be building email lists. You need to be creating private communities using tools and using platforms like Slack, using tools and using platforms like Discord, potentially using tools and using things like Signal, using tools and using things like Substack even. You need to own your email list. The greatest thing you can own in this digital space is not just your email list, but when we're talking about ownership now, the second greatest thing you could own when it comes to owning your masters is making sure you own your trademarks, your patents, and your copyrights. And in this digital world, your URL. That's why nobody can ever take anything of Ken or any of my other companies away from me, because I own it. I own all of it. When it comes to building these audiences, and when it comes to communications, you need to be using direct communication tools like text messaging, like newsletters, and on and on and on, to stay in contact with your audiences. That's what you have to be doing. You need to be doing that. You need to be doing that. So my question to you right now, before we get into the second lesson, I want you all to learn, and not just want you to learn, that you need to learn, is, do you own your audience? I want to hear from you in the comments right now. Do you own your audiences in any way, shape, or form? Because TikTok going dead and going dark, it didn't stop me. It didn't stop One Monkey, as the songwriter said, don't stop this show. This train's going to keep on moving. Yes, my train, my pockets, the bank account, my everything kept on moving because I owned it. So do you own your audience? Do you? Do you? Think about it. Think about it. Drop in the comments. None of y'all are saying nothing, so y'all must not. And there's folks tuned in across LinkedIn, multiple Facebook pages, multiple YouTube pages, and I believe on Instagram as well. So lesson number one is you have to own your audience. The second lesson is you need to own your content, because your creativity is a gift, and gifts are meant to be stored wisely. So you need not be given all these platforms full control and ownership of your gift. You need to be a good steward. As the Bible tells us in the book of James in the New Testament, that every good and perfect gift is from above, coming down from the Father of the heavenly lights. So how do you begin to own your content? You begin to own your content by hosting your content on your own platforms, meaning you have your own websites, you have your own private memberships, and on and on and on. And then what you do through putting all of your content here, let me break it down like this. Yes, we may be streaming on all of these platforms tonight, but make no mistake, I own the masters. I own the original broadcast, the original live stream going out tonight. And make no mistake about it, that this will be on our website right after this, in which I own, because I own that intellectual property. Not only will it be on the Ken website and go on the Ken Vault, but we'll rip the audio from it, and the audio will be put out on through our podcasting network. Not only will we take the audio, but we'll turn this into multiple other pieces of content. And it all started from us owning the main intellectual, the bigger piece, which is this. We own our content. We own our masters. So when you begin to repurpose your content, all it does is extends its value, meaning when you are turning your main pieces of content from your website or your membership that you own into a TikTok video or into a blog or into a course or into a YouTube video, all you're doing is extending the life, extending the value and the worth of that piece of content in which you own and that other platform doesn't own. So what you need to do and what you need to take home is that you need to protect your intellectual property through the proper licensing and the proper contracts. I do not do anything for any client, for anybody, without a contract being signed and without money being in the bank. You have to. Ownership is key. And when we begin to understand that as a Black people, as a people, we will go further. So ownership. So we talked about how you need to own your audiences. We've now talked about how you need to own your content. Now in this third lesson, and all I need is about 12 more minutes. As I said, any preacher or any speaker, all I need is about 12 more minutes. So give me 12 minutes. I promise we'll be out of here before 9 o'clock tonight. The third lesson I want to drive in home before I close this out is that you need to own your revenue. So you need to own your audience, you need to own your content, and you need to own your revenue, because when you are relying on one platform for income, it's like building a house with no foundation. And diversify. And so what that's called is diversifying your income, diversifying your risk, because when you don't diversify your risk, you do risk losing everything. Yes. Yes. So Deuteronomy, in the book of Deuteronomy, the 8th chapter, and I think it's somewhere down around verse number 18. And so as I'm flipping there right now, because I do need to pull this up really quick, because I'm going to make sure I quote it right for you tonight. For those of you that don't know, before there was Devontae, the journalist, before there was Devontae, however you know me as the community advocate, the PR specialist, crisis manager, however you know me, this tech founder, whatever. There was Devontae, who was the child and the son of God, and I came up in the church with strong ties. So just because I'm quoting scripture tonight, and you've never heard me quote scripture before, you just don't know me as well as you think I do, because I'm a big believer and man of faith. So. And like I just said, I want to get the language right for you. So Deuteronomy, the 8th chapter and the 18th verse, I was right when I said verse number 18. It says, but remember the Lord your God, for it is he who gives you the ability to produce wealth. It is he who gives you the ability to produce wealth. What do you mean by that? How can, by remembering it's God, and by giving all glory and honor and reverence to God and keeping him first, how is he going to give us the ability to produce wealth when we're talking about owning our revenue? Well, I'm so glad you asked. The first thing is this, and it's critical. You need to start using ownership-driven platforms. And that's like Kin360. It's like Fanbase. It's like Substack. And you need to begin using and utilizing those platforms to maximize your earnings and your controls. Hell, you could even use your own website, as we've been talking about. The most important thing is, after that, after you begin using ownership-driven platforms, is you need to diversify your income streams. You need to diversify it with subscriptions, with merchandise such as t-shirts. You see me with it on right now. You see I got the Ken visor on. I got the Ken t-shirt, and all of this is coming in the next couple of days if you want to buy any Ken merch. And beyond merchandise, I had a copy of it around here, but it looks to be right over there. I also got a book entitled Black America, It's Time for Us to Save America Again. So I have merchandise, I have courses, I have fan clubs and memberships. I have all of that. My income is diversified. I was having a chat with a business mentor the week before last, and we were going over the Ken business plan. What they said is, Devontae, you are way ahead of the game. You're way ahead of it. He was like, I've never seen a business model put together like this, that where if one leg goes down, you have like 5 more. Yes. And so I've learned through building companies and running businesses that when it comes to making money, and and not only when it comes to making money, you need to have diversity, because when the pandemic came, all of us, a lot of us, hell, even me at the time, and I only had to go through it once, our income wasn't diversified. And because it wasn't diversified, some of our businesses went under. So diversify your income streams and learn to create premium offerings for your true fans and your true supporters, giving them exclusive content, one-on-one coaching, and memberships. Yes, that's what you need to do. Now, as I begin to bring this on home, and as I begin to close this all out, how many of y'all all own your revenue? How many of you all own your audience? Not many of you said anything when I asked you earlier if you owned your own audience, but do you own your own revenue? Do you own your platform? Do you own your audience? Do you own your content? Drop in the chat. I want to know. I want to know. Do you own it? Do you own it? Yeah, mighty quiet in here tonight. Yeah, y'all really are. We talk about ownership, but we need to quit just talking about it and begin to be about it, because we all are just talk and never want to be about it. And one of my favorite movies of all times, Sister Act 2. I remember Whoopi Goldberg, or sister, who played Sister Mary Clarence, telling homegirl, I can't think of her name right now, but she was the lead singer. What Whoopi told her at the time, Lauryn Hill was the character. I can't remember the character's name. But what Whoopi told Lauryn Hill when she went to her house to try and get her to come back to the choir and things like that, what she left her with is this. She said, if you want to be somebody, if you want to go somewhere, you better wake up and pay attention. And so I'll push this even further. Not only if you want to be somebody and if you want to go somewhere, you better wake up and pay attention, but you better also make sure you own your content. You own the land. You own it. You better make sure it happens. You better make sure it happens. Come on now. Come on, make sure you own it. Make sure, and not just when you own it, because here in America and in this world, if you don't have a piece of paper, and I'm just holding up a random piece of paper that was on the desk, you don't own nothing. Get it in writing. Get it in writing, folks. So let me lay out this ownership framework for you really quickly. And when I talk about owning this ownership framework and making sure you own your content, own your audience, and own your revenue, it's important to think of yourself like a network, like a CNN, a CBS, an NBC, a Fox, a Hulu, or whatever. Think of yourself like a TV program. And so when you're beginning to think about owning your content, the first thing you need to do is you need to plan your programming, and you need to treat your content like it's a TV network. You need to build schedules. You need to create themes for your content. And not only do you need to do all of that, but you need to maintain consistency. When you tell your audience you're going to be there at 8, be there at 8. Yes, I was 10 minutes late. I'm human. We had a few tech problems. I had to work through really quickly because when you're going live, anything can and will happen. So I had to deal with all that. I had to work through all of that, and so in which I did work through and deal with all of that. And so it was a few minutes late. I had people hitting me up and DMing me and texting me like, "Devontae, it's 8 o'clock. Where do we watch? Are we late? Are we late?" I'm like, "No, y'all haven't missed the eulogy. Yeah, y'all haven't missed the message. I promise you, we're gonna bring this home. You haven't missed it. You haven't. You haven't. So you need to plan your content, and you need to make sure you are consistent and you're on time. And if you're going to be late, you need to make sure you communicate that. I didn't communicate that tonight, and so I was wrong. So along with that, the Bible talks about and tells us how tells us this one key thing is that, but everything should be done in a fitting and orderly way. Or put it to you this way, as grandma and grandpa and auntie and uncle and the deacons and the mothers used to say in the church, everything should be done in decency and in order. In decency and in order. Somebody say, drop in the comments, hashtag decent and decency and in order. Hashtag indecency and in order. Someone just said in the comments, Buckeye auditing and transparency. No idea where to start. I need a mentor myself. Buckeye auditing and transparency. DM me or drop in the comments a way for me to communicate. Matter of fact, I don't want you to drop in the comments. What I want you to do is grab a pen, paper, or whatever, and I'll drop in the comments here in just a second. My phone number is already out there, 614-233-1171, and let's talk. And we'll find you and get you with that mentor. 614-233-1171, Buckeye Auditing. We will do that for you and get that under control. In decency and in order. And so how do you do things in a practical way in decency and in order? Well, you create a content calendar with regular themes. So on Mondays, you're going to do an IG live, and it's going to be Monday motivation of you in the gym working out. On Tuesdays, you're going to have tutorial Tuesdays. On Wednesdays, you're going to have say word Wednesdays. And on Thursdays, on and on and on and on for each day of the week. And what you need to do once you have those themes and those buckets is now you need to begin to focus on 2 or 3 key pillars that align with your brand and with your audience. Take, for example, Tabitha Brown politics channel. She has over 250,000 people, and all she does is, I kid you not, is use her phone and do YouTube, do IG videos, and do all of that. That's all she does. Here, I'll put it to you this way. When you don't own, as Prince would say, your masters, and when you do have ownership, and when you're trying to reclaim ownership of your masters, when you don't do things when it comes to indecency and in order, you're no different than a sharecropper. What do you mean by that, Devontae? What do you mean? You just called me a sharecropper. Yeah. You're a sharecropper. You're sure that's just what it is. What do I mean by that? You aren't taking full advantageship of wanting to own and be the owner. And so when you don't want to own, you're no different than the sharecropper. You're no different than our ancestors who fought for us to have ownership, who fought for us to have freedoms. Come on now. Come on. I got to bring this home. I only got about 6 more minutes here. And let's not forget the comedy genius who did it on his own and built something up to what it is now. Kev on stage. He built an empire all around comedy, and he done it over these over this last decade. But it all started with something simple, not as simple as this phone, but it started with something as simple as ownership, making sure he owned it, making sure he owned his content and his revenue. So step one, when it comes to this ownership framework, is you got to plan your programming. Step two, and I'm moving a little faster now, you have to build your community and not just build followers. And so that's what we're doing here tonight in this eulogy is we are building a community. And when I keep going back to the comments and asking you to drop into the comments and engage with me, and when I keep pulling them up, it's all about community and engaging with you all because all of you are not just numbers. I come to tell you, while followers may just be numbers, there is power in community. But check this out. I'll do it one further. Back in May of last year, I got on and I taught a master class, and then I had the opportunity to teach that master class and give a few talks in other places about how we are no longer when it comes to currency and I'm shocked I even have it here, and a regular green currency. This currency right here isn't king anymore. The currency that's king now is called relationships. It's the relationship currency because we are now in the relationship economy. So it's not about the numbers. It's not about how many followers you have. And it's not about none of that because I have well over 25,000 followers across all of my social platforms. And then let's not even talk about the email list when the contacts in my phone and things like that. And so when I add all that up, yes, I have a lot of people, but what it comes down to is most of those people I know personally, and I have a relationship with them. So when you have a relationship with somebody, you have community with them. And the way you begin to build power through and with your community is you begin to engage with them, because when you engage with them, that creates loyalty. The Bible tells us that all the believers were together and had everything in common. They sold property and possessions just to give anyone who had need. So you need to begin responding to comments. You need to learn how to start creating polls and polling your audience. You need to get your audience involved in decision making. You need to begin hosting and doing live streams like this, Q&A sessions, Ask Me Anything sessions, and offering exclusive events that deepen relationships. I can't just be the only one to decide to throw an event together. I did this back in September, I believe it was, and I'm trying to get back to it. I put together a happy hour called the Link Up for Professionals, and I had it at a local cafe, and guess what? Over 200 plus people registered in a 72-hour time frame for it, and over 30 actually showed up just to engage at that happy hour and just to make connections and to begin to build relationships. But I was only able to do that because I'm in the comments, I'm in my DMs, I'm engaging, I'm having conversations, I'm offering something of value. And so when you are doing this, what you are essentially doing is you are essentially beginning to build a space where your audience feels seen, valued, and heard. So if you all haven't realized and recognized by now, what I'm doing is laying out a framework right now of not just ownership. What I'm doing is laying out a framework. Hey, yo, how are you? Hey, goody. What I'm doing is laying out how not to be dependent upon TikTok. Because for those of you that don't know, how we even got in this TikTok ban to begin with was back in 2020 when the former guy who's now becoming the y'all's current guy, he came out and said, hey, I want a ban. And then he got that ban. And now all three branches of government, which is hardly ever seen, and hardly, I don't think in my lifetime I've ever seen this done except maybe once, and it was 9/11, but they are all in lockstep saying ban TikTok, banned the parent company ByteDance because the Chinese government has access to our information. And because the Chinese government, and I'm not going to get into all the particulars, there's a ton of other people out there that have videos and things like that. Go check it out. I'm not about to get into a foreign policy lesson, but I'm just going to tell you, you don't want foreign adversaries. And yes, I'm using the word adversary because this is a eulogy tonight, and we are intertwining scripture into it. And the Bible calls the enemy, our adversaries, our foreign adversary, our foreign enemies like China, their government, having access to that information, utilizing, and to be able to utilize it against us. Some of y'all may say, well, all they're going to know is what I like and what I scroll. Well, the TikTok algorithm's a little better than that. I'm telling you, because some of y'all have probably never been on TikTok so long to the point that where a black screen pops up and says, you've been on TikTok too long, you need to take a break. I've seen it, I've done it, I've lived it. So for all of y'all to think y'all are big TikTok users, nah, baby. I've since been reformed, I've been redeemed. I was the biggest of them all. I truly was the biggest of them all. Because every time I tell that story and I tell people and ask people, have you seen that black screen? They're like, no, we don't. No, I haven't. What are you talking about? Are you crazy? No, I'm not. No, I'm not. So the last thing you need to, that becomes important, the third and the final step of this ownership framework I'm trying to lie out, is you need to monetize with intention. You need to monetize with intention. Your revenue should be built with purpose and sustainability. Your revenue should be able to take a hit and be able to get back up from taking that hit and to continue. So, well, not only should you be able to build it with intentionality, you know, when it comes to building with a purpose and sustainability and building with intention, you know, you need to include diversity in there. Yeah, they got y'all believing DEI is all bad and everything. Nah, DEI ain't bad. It's all good in the hood when it comes to DEI. Diversity is always good. Inclusion is always good. So, the Bible tells us we all love to quote Proverbs chapter 3, verse 5 and 6. Trust in the Lord with all thy heart and lean not to your own understanding, and acknowledge God in all his ways. And it says, what is the promise? For he shall direct thy paths. We love to quote those two verses out of chapter 3, but we always fail to drop down and read the rest of that chapter. And when you get around just a couple verses down, around verse number 9 and 10, I think that's even more poignant than the 5th and the 6th verse. In verse 9 and 10, what it tells us is you have to honor the Lord with your wealth, with the first fruits of all your crops. Then your barns will be filled with overflowing. And some of y'all take that to mean y'all need to pay tithes and things like that. Yes, you do, but I didn't come to preach or even begin to talk about that right now. What I came to talk to y'all about is you need to begin to experiment with different monetization strategies, because what monetization strategy works for you may not work for this person. It may not work for their audience, but it may work for their audience. It may work for Yo's audience. It may not work for Lisa's audience. It may work for Mama Dig's audience. It may not work for Tiffany's. You see, you get in the picture. You need to be able to do these different strategies, whether it's fan support using things like Zelle, PayPal, and Stripe and Cash App, or even membership model, merchandises, direct course, workshops, live events. You need to begin to utilize and to begin to not just utilize, begin to depend, and not just depend, but experiment with different monetization strategies, because the first one you try may not be the best one, or may not even be the most effective one. So with that, what I want to know let's have just as a side note, because some of you are like, "Oh, slow down a second." Drop in the comments. I want to know as I'm coming home, getting ready to close here, and I know I've been closing for the past 10 minutes. Says anybody that's ever had a mic and got up before and given a eulogy in a black church, may not go this way in white church, but in black church, we stay closing for a good 30 minutes. So I promise you, I'm almost done. What I want to know is, have any of you ever been in a Facebook jail? That's what I want to know. But while you all are catching up, so I'll drop that in the comments, and I'm going to bring this on home real quick and real fast here. So catch on up. So I need y'all to begin leveraging all of these other platforms. I need you to begin leveraging Kin Plus. I need you to begin leveraging not just Kin Plus, but Kin 360. I need you to begin leveraging Fanbase and all of these other platforms, Substack, all of these other ones, to begin to earn without losing ownership. And with that, I need you to begin to focus on long-term strategies that build wealth rather than trying to make that quick buck. Because everything that come quick, you ain't going to be able to keep. Everything that was if it was easy, everybody would do it. It's simple than that. My grandmother used to tell me this is, Devontae, if you want to get rich, there's no such thing. And I've never heard of a person who's gotten rich quick. I've never heard of that. But what have heard of is people that have built the foundation and then built up. As long as they've had a solid foundation, they've been able to build wealth. Because if you want to get rich, nobody ever gets rich quick. I'm just saying, Grandma may have had a point. Grandma may have had a point right there. So now, let's talk about a Kin 360 for just a quick second. Let's talk about Kin 360 for a quick second. Some of the things, yes, we had to talk about Kin 360, and for which we are able to do this live stream for them. Kin 360 is a subsidiary of Kin Worldwide, the company I own. We are a media, events, and SaaS platform focused all on building community and giving content creators and small business owners the tools and the resources that they need to build their community and to have ownership and to get more visibility. And so with Kin 360, there's no distractions, and our ecosystem is built for meaningful disability. And also with Kin 360, we have two key features. The first one is Growth Gateway, and what Growth Gateway is we position you, and through our database of business owners and content creators, is we connect you with the appropriate business and content creators, so you are now able to work together and to do work. So for the business owners, you all often don't know how to connect with content creators and other brands and things like that to get deals done and to market yourself and things like that. And the same is true vice versa for content creators. Well, we have developed a database for that called our Growth Gateway connector. And so with that, we eliminate the middleman. There's no middleman. You got direct access to the collaborators and their audiences. And on top of that, you still own your connections. We don't own any of it. And then not only that, with Sparklight, it's marketing done for you. And not only is it marketing done for you, we create all of the advertising, the banner ads, the videos, and all of that. And we disperse that throughout our Kin ecosystem, throughout our shows, our live streams, our podcasts, our TV station partners, and all of that. So you get maximum visibility over with Kin. You get maximum visibility over here. And so what that simply means is we provide you with the wisdom and the tools to build a sustainable legacy. The Bible tells us by wisdom a house is built, and through understanding it is established, and through knowledge its rooms are filled with a rare and beautiful treasure. So as I begin to close right here, I just want you all to know that you need to build your legacy on a rock, because in the Gospel of Matthew it tells us, do not store up for yourselves your treasures on earth, where mammoths and vermin destroy and where thieves break in and steal, but store up for yourselves treasures in heavens. Put it this way: the Egyptians tried to take it with them, and all they did was get robbed, baby. That's why you'll never see a U-Haul behind a hearse. You just won't. So what I'm simply trying to say, kin fam and kin folk, is that you need to stop trying to store your treasures and your audiences and your content and your revenue on all these platforms where they could be snatched just as simply as they were snatched last night, where they could just, in the blink of an eye, in the twinkling of a star, disappear like that, be taken away. And you need to build them on the rock, and not just on any rock. You need to build them on the rock of ownership. You need to build them on the rock of intention, and you need to build them on the rock of sustainability. Why? Because none of these platforms, as we begun just under 50 plus minutes ago, we begun with Michael Jackson telling us, the king of pop himself, that these platforms, none of them really care about us. And I wish I had more time to really get into that and to dissect it a little bit more, but I don't. I'll get into that tomorrow when I come back with my MLK Day message. But what I'm trying to drive home, everybody, is that the time is now. Your time is now. And we need to begin to honor the lessons of Prince, of Dolores Jordan, of Nipsey Hussle, of Kendrick Lamar, and of Fawn Weaver, the owner of Uncle Nearest. And Fawn teaches us a really phenomenal lesson with Uncle Nearest. She not only didn't come across Uncle Nearest's story, which was wrong, and then unveiled it and undone it, but then before she began to own the brand, she made sure she owned Distillery Number 7 down in Tennessee, in which Nearest Green himself distilled the whiskey. But that's another lesson in and of itself. But with that, what she taught us is that before you get out there with your brand, before you get out there with your content, you got to make sure you have full and complete total control and ownership of it. So Fawn herself made sure she owned the land. She owned that distillery. Then she had everything in play, the intellectual property for the bottle design and the label design of Uncle Nearest. So what I'm trying to tell you is we need to recognize all of the lessons all of those people taught us, and we need to begin by recognizing them and begin honoring them by building something real and lasting. And if any of you need any help with doing that, the link is scrolling right at the bottom of your screen, and I'll drop it in the comments after this. The link to Kin 360, which is www.welcomehomekin.com kin/Kin, KIN 360. So what I'm telling you is it's time for us to own it all. Let's build it all, and let's create this legacy that lasts, but not just a legacy that lasts. Let's begin, while we're building this legacy that lasts, to have the impact that will outlast our legacy. Let's own it all, everybody. Because these platforms don't care about us, and TikTok may have been revived. It may have. But baby, just in case you didn't know, that's only temporary. If a more permanent solution, in which Congress has said another company needed to take ownership of it. Unless that happens in the next 90 days, TikTok will go dark. And it'll go dark forever. So don't put all your faith in that former guy, because the former guy is who got y'all here in the first place. So TikTok may have been revived, but these platforms don't really care about us. Hey, man. As the preacher would say, let the church say amen. So that's the eulogy. I want to, the morticians have come, and then after the morticians came, everybody, and as the caretakers of the graveyard were lowering the beard into the ground, the owners of TikTok, they got into contact with Jesus. And Jesus, they did the same thing. They begged Jesus, just as Mary Magdalene and Martha did at the tomb of Lazarus. They begged him. And Jesus said, well, can you offer me some Kool-Aid or some water first? Because I didn't come over here on the Lear jet. He's like, I came through the 100-acre woods. Keep in mind, TikTok and ByteDance and all of them, they could have asked anybody, any one of God's, Jesus's rather, homeboys. But they wanted Jesus because of Jesus's impact. And Jesus said, arise. I'll give you a second chance. I'll give you 90 days. But in the second time around, will you value ownership? Will you value you being an owner? Will you value that? You being an owner? So I come to tell you that once their beard gets lowered in the ground the second time, I don't think God is going to allow his son to resurrect them again. That's all the time I have, folks. I love you. I love you. I really do. I'm going to hang out in the comments for a while. Let's chat. Or if you don't want to hang out in the comments, I'll be in the DMs. So DM me. I'll see y'all tomorrow. I love y'all. I love y'all. This has been great and a good time. And we're going to continue to do these and have fun. See y'all, everybody. Love y'all.
Stay up, counting all the way up.